Hi, welcome back. I'm Connie Holland from Pixality Design, and this is video 3 of the 4-part series on how to design a studio website on a budget. If you haven't checked out the previous 2 videos, you might want to do that. In the first one, I walk you through the 4 items that you need to prep before you even start designing your site. In the second video, I talk you through the platform that you should use to build your site on. And now in this video, we're going to talk through 4 common design mistakes that I often see on the internet that if you can fix on your own website, you're going to be looking that much more professional and portraying your small business brand online in just so much a better light. So to get started with that, design mistake number 1 is clutter. This often shows up at the very, very top of the website, of the web page in your navigation. So if you've got more than 6 or 7 nav links in your navigation, you need to really think through whether they're all necessary, whether people are actually going to dig through all those drop-down folders and find those pages with little bits of information on them. The answer is probably not. For studio websites, people want to go to the About page, they want to go to the Schedule page, they want to go to the Pricing page, and then they need to readily be able to know where to get started. Those are kind of the main things that need to happen. Everything else you can link up in your footer, you can link to a resources page, you can add other places via text links through your site. But make sure that the navigation of all things is clear of clutter and leads people to where they're looking to go. Because they want to book and buy from you. That's why they're on your site. You want them to book and buy from you, right? So make sure you don't hide those key important things mixed into with drop downs and mixed in with a bunch of other extra information. Design mistake number 2 is readability. So I'm not talking in this case about making your website text engaging and entertaining to read, although that is important too. In this case, I'm literally talking about, can I read the words on your website? You have to imagine people don't all have the best eyesight. They might be reading it on a phone, on a really small screen. Some people have different, vastly different screen sizes for their phones or their devices. So you need to make sure that the text on your website is big enough that everyone can read it. So this comes in 2 things, that it comes in size and it comes with the contrast with the background. So for size, I recommend that even the smallest text on your website, the body copy, the body text in this case, is 16 points or higher. That's going to depend a lot on the font you're using, but as a good rule of thumb, be really cautious and start looking specifically at the font you're using if you get below 16. You're pretty safe going higher, 16, 17, 18 as a minimum text size on your website. As far as the contrast with the background goes, this is another thing that you see commonly. You might have a brand design guide and really like a light gray text on a white background. It's really elegant and really beautiful, but that's really hard on the eyes to read, to make out those letters and make out those words. So if you're using a white or a very light background, like a beige or a tan, that's great. Keep the text dark, keep it black or navy blue or something really, really dark against it. If you're using a very dark background, like a black or a navy blue or a deep purple or something, use white text on top of that. Anything in between, as far as background colors go, be really cautious. They may not be the best choice for your website because you've got to go either white or black or some other kind of text on top of it. And those midtones are really hard to find something that's going to universally pop out and be really readable. So keep a good contrast between your background and your main text. Design mistake number 3 is missing calls to actions and contact information. So you've probably been there before. You get to a web page, you read down to the bottom, and then you're kind of wondering what you should do next. Should I scroll back up to the top and kind of hunt around the navigation? Should I kind of play around in these footer links and figure out where to go next? As a good web host or hostess, you need to guide your prospects and the people viewing your website to the next logical step in their customer journey on your website. So on every page, you need to think once you get to the bottom, where should they go next? Where's the logical next step for them? And bring them that way. Usually this is in the form of a button. So for example, if it's your class descriptions page and you've just explained how all your classes, at the bottom of your class descriptions page, the next logical step is probably to book a class. So you want to add a button there saying, book your class. And that goes to your scheduling page. So those calls to actions might be different on different pages of your website. A lot of them can be funneling people toward your intro offer or your new student page, but just think through where they logically need to go from that next one and put those clear buttons at the bottom of each page, or those clear actions. They can be text links as well, but you need to guide them to the next point. The second part of this is clear contact information. So at any point that someone's browsing your website, they may have questions and they may be stuck. You need to make it very clear and obvious how they can contact and reach out to get past that stuckness. So that's usually a contact page. Linking it in the footer is a great option. You also want your contact info, your phone number, email, maybe a contact form. That information can be in the footer as well, or a button on your going to a contact page. Just make sure there's a clear path that people can find how they can reach out to get their answers to their questions. And then design mistake number 4 is disconnected messaging and visuals on a page. So for example, if I'm reading a page that talks about private instruction, and there's a photo there of a group class. Now, as the reader, I'm just a little confused. Whether I acknowledge it or not in my own brain, I'm a little confused because I'm reading about private instruction. I'm obviously interested in getting private lessons, but I'm seeing a group class. So there's a disconnect in my mind. So this goes way back to video 1 where I was talking about getting great photos for your brand. Make sure that you think through all the different services and you have some videos that can convey those services so that you can match up the messaging and the photo on the page and it all works together. A second level of this is sometimes you've got just little design elements that you want to throw in there. It's like adding some confetti or some sprinkles to your design. Just because you like it and you really want to work it in doesn't mean it's necessarily going to help the viewer sift through the information on your website. So if you're thinking about just adding an extra color because you like it, or you've got some stock photo that you really like and you just really want to work in, that might not be the best choice. Sometimes less is more, and keeping it focused on the message and the visual that communicates that message so it all works together in harmony is the way you want to go. So just to review the 4 common design mistakes that I see and how to avoid them. You want to make sure that you are paying attention to clutter, especially in your navigation. Keep your navigation to 6 or 7 links or less if you at all can. Number 2, readability. Make sure that your text is big enough and has enough contrast with the background that it's on so that viewers can read it on a variety of devices, no matter how good or bad their eyes happen to be. Number 3, missing call to actions and contact information. Make sure that you're thinking about at the bottom of every page where they should go next and you're guiding them there with a button or a link. And number 4, disconnected messages and visuals on the same page. Just go review your website and make sure that the visuals that you're using on each page are necessary and support the text on the page and that they're all working together. So next week, we will finish this series off, and I'm going to talk about finishing your website with search engine optimization and integrating it with your studio scheduling software. So you don't want to miss that one. If you haven't had a chance to pick up my bundle of free resources, you can do that at pixalitydesign.com/free. You'll get the website photography guide, the brand messaging guide, and a guide to help walk you through creating your own studio website. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.